What if I told you that right now, in northern China, a group of world leaders are standing together, openly declaring that the US and its allies are no longer the only game in town, that the future of global power might already be shifting away from Washington, away from Brussels, and into the hands of an entirely new coalition? Today, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping stood shoulder to shoulder at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit, sending one clear message: the era of a unipolar world, led by the United States, may be coming to an end. But is this really the start of a new world order, or just a show of force with little substance? Stick with me, because in this deep dive, we're unpacking the history, the players, the stakes, and the risks of this gathering. And by the end, I'll ask you to decide, is this the moment the global balance of power officially tilts? The summit, taking place in Qingdao, China on September 1st, 2025, brought together leaders from across Asia, the Middle East, and Eurasia. At the center of it all were Putin and Xi, flanked by officials from India, Iran, Pakistan, and Central Asian states like Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Together, they formed the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or SCO, a bloc that now represents more than 40% of the world's population and nearly a third of the global economy. The image was unmistakable: Xi and Putin standing side by side, presenting themselves as not just leaders of their own nations, but as champions of an alternative to the Western-led order. To understand why this matters, let's rewind. The SCO was founded in 2001, originally as a security pact between China, Russia, and several Central Asian nations. At the time, it was about managing borders and fighting terrorism. But over the years, it has quietly grown into something much bigger: a political, economic, and military partnership that rivals Western institutions like NATO or even the European Union. In 2017, India and Pakistan joined, giving the SCO enormous reach. And just last year, Iran became a full member, solidifying its status as a major bloc in global politics. So this is not just another diplomatic summit. It's the latest step in a 20-year strategy to build a multipolar world, one where the West no longer calls all the shots. So why does this 2025 summit matter more than the ones before it? Because the world is already in turmoil. The war in Ukraine grinds on, with Russia seeking allies to survive Western sanctions. The conflict in the Middle East, between Iran and Israel, is threatening to drag in regional powers. And tensions between China and the US over Taiwan are at their highest point in decades. Against this backdrop, the SCO summit isn't just a meeting. It's a stage for Putin and Xi to declare, we are not isolated. We are not weak. We have partners, and we are building a new order. One of the biggest themes at this year's summit? Trade and energy. Russia, cut off from Western markets, is turning eastward, selling oil, gas, and coal to China and India. Meanwhile, China is using the SCO to expand its Belt and Road Initiative, building railways, ports, and pipelines that physically tie Eurasia together. Together, these countries are also talking about reducing their dependence on the US dollar, instead using local currencies or even creating new payment systems. Think about the implications. If nearly half the world's population begins moving away from the dollar, that could shake the foundation of US financial dominance. But it's not just economics. The SCO also runs joint military drills and intelligence sharing agreements. In the past year, we've seen Russian and Chinese warships patrolling together in the Pacific, Indian and Chinese troops training side by side despite their border disputes, and Central Asian states coordinating counterterrorism forces. For decades, NATO has been the most powerful military alliance in the world. But what happens if the SCO starts to look like an Eastern NATO? Of course, the West is watching carefully. The United States has called the SCO an authoritarian club, warning that it undermines democracy and international stability. The European Union sees it as a direct challenge to its influence in Central Asia and the Middle East. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Many nations in the global South, from Africa to Latin America, are quietly cheering this development. They see the SCO as a way to escape Western dominance and play both sides for better deals. So let me throw this to you. Do you think countries like India and Pakistan really trust China and Russia enough to form a true alliance? Or are they just using the SCO as leverage against the West? I'm curious to hear your take. Drop your thoughts in the comments. But before we declare this the dawn of a new world order, let's be real about the limitations. The SCO is not NATO. It doesn't have a unified command structure, and its members often have deep rivalries. India and China, for example, have clashed repeatedly on their border. Pakistan and India are historical enemies, and many of the Central Asian states still don't fully trust Moscow. So while the summit shows unity, beneath the surface there are cracks. The question is, are those cracks manageable, or will they eventually tear this bloc apart? Here's the bigger picture. For decades, the world has been largely unipolar, with the US and its allies setting the rules. But the SCO summit is evidence that we're entering a new phase, a multipolar era. That doesn't mean the US collapses tomorrow, but it does mean that Washington and Brussels will have to share the stage with Beijing, Moscow, and others. And that shift could affect everything, from global trade to military alliances to how future wars are fought. So I want to know, do you believe this is the start of a new world order? Or is it just political theater that won't change much in reality? Let's debate in the comments. I'll be reading your takes. And hey, if you're finding this deep dive valuable, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss these breakdowns of the biggest stories shaping our world. The image of Xi and Putin standing together in China may be symbolic, but symbols matter. They send messages. And the message here is clear. The US-led era is being challenged. Whether this challenge succeeds or crumbles under its own contradictions will define the next decade of global politics. So keep watching closely, because what started in Qingdao may echo across the entire world.